The ESPN Tucson 1490 and 1049 FM. You know, Ryan, I just got this text message. A friend of mine sent me a playlist. So the draft picks get to pick their own walk-up songs. I didn't know if you knew that. I didn't know that.
No, that's kind of good.
Yeah, the problem that I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 Drake songs.
Oh, God.
Yeah. And some I don't even know. I mean, like, I'm totally out of whatever loop there is.
Right.
Like, I don't know what Magic System is.
No.
Yeah, I don't know who any of these people. Yeah, okay. Now I'm just depressed. Like this, I'm like, oh, cool music, and they're like, oh no, Zach, this isn't for you. Right. Because it's new, and I'm Stacey. Now I know how you feel.
Oh, wow, thanks.
Completely and totally outdated at all points in time.
Kind of like this.
You made me take my headset off. I can't hear that.
Come back.
Stacey's like, hey, you can't use your earpiece. And he starts pushing buttons on the board, and I'm like, I got none of that. No earpiece. Microphone. Yeah, never. Here, let's just write this down in blood if we have to. Never kill my mic to replace it with the theme song from Welcome Back, Kotter, if that is a real show.
I'm trying to welcome you back, Zach.
By cutting my microphone and replacing it with, was that from the 70s, a theme song to a show?
I don't know.
I don't either.
You guys know. You don't
I
act
don't
like you don't know
know. I
about
don't.
Welcome Back, Kotter.
I had never
Gabe Kaplan plays
heard
Mr.
of that.
Kotter.
I knew that.
He goes back to his old high school to teach. There are Sweat Hogs. They're called the Sweat Hogs. It's a gang.
Oh, I didn't know
John Travolta is one of them.
I didn't know that
Do you
either.
know John Travolta was on Welcome Back, Kotter?
Never heard of the show until today.
Shameful.
I heard the show before. I've just never seen it. I knew Gabe Kaplan was Mr.
Kotter.
Or whatever.
And Gabe
I have
Kaplan
no
is
idea
now
who
one of those
Gabe
like late
Kaplan
night
is.
poker losers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I watched Gabe Kaplan on Poker All Night or Poker After Dark on NBC whatever. Yeah.
Strikes me as somebody who has a baby who might have a hard time sleeping. You're watching poker in the middle of the night.
Yes, but I would watch it anyway.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah, you know.
I learn more about you every day, Zach Clark. I like this.
Okay, and you still sitting here. That's good. I don't know if I'd scare people away at a certain point. So we're into the third hour of our draft special. So those of you that have listened to us before, you will be able to hear this show and the picks. You will hear that sound that I believe Stacey played because, again, my earpiece is out. And then you'll hear that sound. You hear the commissioner and, of course, the booze. And then...
Good evening and welcome to the NFL Draft. Come on, Philly.
Oh, that was right then and there. Did you hear the booze?
I did.
Did you hear the booze? It was like they were introducing Johnny Damon after he went to Boston after he was in New York, back in New York. I can't think of anything worse than that. It's pretty brutal.
It's a good pull. I like that. I'm a fan. Yeah. I mean,
Nobody. And look, Roger Goodell brings it all upon himself, and nobody feels sorry for him because the guy makes like $50 million a year. So who cares?
yes.
You can pay me that much money. You can do whatever you want.
He has become a wrestling villain, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of just the super muscular, arrogant, rich guy.
Yeah. And no matter what he does, you just look at him and you go, I hate that guy.
I know.
Even if you like what he did, you still say, I hate that guy.
You half expect him to be followed by Virgil. You remember Virgil? $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. He had the guy who was with him, like his manservant.
Or I was thinking of, I'm a little bit older, of Paul Bear, who used to walk with The
Paul
Undertaker.
Bear. Oh,
and he always had a really worried look on his face, and he had the urn with him.
The urn was,
And I think-
nobody could touch his urn.
And I think he just died in the last
He did.
year.
He did.
I'm pretty sure we talked about that on this very program right here. So before the picks start to come out, and Stacey will roll them as they do, that will happen live from the commissioner's mouth to your ears. But I keep hearing, and we talked about this a little bit in the 3 o'clock hour, that there is more unknowns in this draft than other drafts. And first of all, I say, one, can we prove that? And second of all, how much? Because I've heard it from, but I will say, Ryan, I've heard it from a lot of so-called experts.
I think that there are more unknown quarterbacks in this draft than there have been in the past.
And that's what's confusing.
And it's really easy to look at the NFL draft based on the quality of the quarterbacks and gauge it the best draft ever or the weakest draft ever, depending on who your quarterbacks are. To me, when you look at the three top quarterbacks, all agree, Trubisky, Watson, Mahomes, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
kind of speaking generally.
Sure.
Okay.
In no
okay,
order, and
okay.
just kind of a pile. Yeah.
Watson is the only one who we could say is a hands-down successful college quarterback.
Well, yeah, national championship twice in a row and a winner.
Trubisky is a guy, and I pay attention to college football. I heard his first name for the first time like last November.
But once you heard it, you haven't stopped.
Right. And then you look at somebody like Mahomes, where it's the age-old thing. Is he a system guy, or is he a pro prospect?
Could he be both?
Could he be both? But the fact that those are the three guys we're talking about, I mean, that is why there's the uncertainty here. It's because there is no such thing as a sure thing among quarterbacks in this draft.
No, and I wonder, it seems highly unlikely, especially what you're hearing from the Bears, but, I mean, is it possible a quarterback drops out of the top 10, that it falls further? I think it is. Now, again, if somebody is angling for the Bears' third pick, I would think the answer is probably no.
Right.
But if that doesn't happen, then I think you could see that.
But here's the question. If you're picking 12th, are you so convinced that one of those three quarterbacks won't be there at 12 that you're going to trade up to 3 for Mitch Trubisky? And maybe
Cleveland has the 12th pick.
Maybe this is just bias from me, but I see nothing about Mitch Trubisky that I like, frankly. And Mahomes is a good value, I think, at 13 or 14. I don't know if there's a quarterback worth trading up to 3 to get. I mean, Watson, maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's done everything you could ask him to do in college, but there are still some questions, and I think it's because the dual threat, good college quarterback.
Dual threat quarterback, because, man, the guy's got a great arm. He showed that. In fact, if you looked at that national championship game, Alabama took away his run, and what did he do? He threw the ball all over the place. Right. So I get that.
And he shouldn't struggle with NFL defenses because he's played and beaten Alabama.
Right. And you know, again, is Alabama's defense straight up NFL? No. But it is without question the best barometer you will get in college football every year.
Yep. Absolutely.
Nobody's going to argue with that. And if they do, they probably live in Auburn, Alabama. So I'm not hearing that. So with Cleveland at the top, and now officially the Browns are on the clock, which, ladies and gentlemen, start your engines, right? I don't think there's any question now that they take Myles Garrett. And I also don't think they're going to look back in a year or two and go, dang, I wish we wouldn't have done that. I don't think that's going to happen at all.
No, he makes perfect sense for them. This is a team that needs a sure thing. This is a team that has so many holes that it cannot afford to bungle a number one overall pick.
And they almost can't screw it up because they have so many needs.
Absolutely. Almost. I think that you can screw it up by drafting a quarterback. I think just about anybody with the first overall selection. I think with the first overall selection, Myles Garrett, it is a safe pick at a position that is historically very safe. I can't name very many bust defensive ends in the recent history of the NFL. Even somebody like a Leonard Williams, who went 6th a couple of years ago.
We talked about earlier.
He's a guy who's a good to very good NFL football player.
He's only, if you would ever even consider him close to a bust, it's because he's not outright dominant, but he gives you what you can expect from that position on a regular basis, which is not what we're looking for in the top 10, but consistency in the NFL is just so hard to get.
And Leonard Williams plays on the other side of the country for a team that's not very good. It's possible that we just don't see him dominate on a week-to-week basis. His stats are very good. To me, Myles Garrett, this is an easy pick. They should be sprinting to the front of the Philadelphia library stage right now. You draft him. The only knock on him is that sometimes he doesn't try. And that is the most subjective. I work with words. That's the most subjective, weak, flimsy take I've ever heard.
I saw somebody tweeted the same thing. I think it was Bill Barnwell tweeted the same thing today about Mitch Trubisky. That the knock on him is he takes plays off. Can somebody
How does a quarterback take plays off? How does a quarterback take plays off?
It was on run plays. I don't know. I'm repeating what somebody else said.
But you've handed the ball off.
I know.
You're done. Your job. Okay, carry out your fake.
Keep selling the fake. Guys, halfway down the field, give it up. No, look, that's the thing. I know that people like me, people like you, and people like the folks we see on TV and read about, they're analysts. They're supposed to have opinions. We want to hear those opinions. But when I hear a non-athlete talk about other athletes being lazy, I think to myself, okay, what have you done today?
Well, and keep in mind, too, that when it comes to the draft, they're all lies. Everybody lies about everything. General manager is lying to you. Every player is lying to you. Every scout is lying to you. We don't know what everybody's saying until today.
For what it's worth, the Browns pick is in, and Myles Garrett is on the phone.
Ooh. Myles Garrett is not there, and I love that. I love that Myles Garrett is not there.
Why?
Because why pilgrimage to wherever this city is held so you can be more sort of programming for ESPN? Here on ESPN Radio, 1490, 104.9 FM.
Ooh.
when you could stay at home with the people you love the most. You could have everybody there. This is Myles Garrett's last day as a civilian, right?
Sure.
Starting tomorrow.
He'll be the number 1 overall pick.
He's the number 1 overall pick, and that will be on his tombstone and in his obituary. Spend tonight with your mom. Spend tonight with your girlfriend.
Appears like he is.
Spend tonight with your friends.
Based on the picture. Well, and here's the thing. I totally agree with you, and I love spending time with my own family, but it's hard to imagine passing on the opportunity of going to the NFL draft. And again, prioritize and make those choices, and God bless him for doing it. Right. I'm not criticizing, but for me, the chance you've been working for your whole life to realize that moment, to have it happen in front of you, to be able to walk on the stage, shake the commissioner's hand, have him hold up that jersey. Boy, I have goosebumps, and I'm telling the story to myself.
But Myles Garrett, as we've learned, is not your traditional guy. I mean, he has interests in a life outside of football, which I think is good. He's a little bit odd. And if he doesn't want to...
With the first pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Myles Garrett, defensive end, Texas A&M.
I mean, very little surprise there, but can we, again, before we get to Myles Garrett, can we just talk about the chorus of boos? That's as loud as I've ever heard it, even including David Stern's last NBA draft cycle.
By the way,
he was...
I love David Stern.
Only because he handled that last year so well when he kind of kept asking for more. But Roger Goodell is square and will never do that.
No. He's Vince McMahon all of a sudden. And it's, yes, we should boo him. He's a contemptible guy.
Ian Rappaport's reporting that this was a decision that the Browns had made a long time
Well, of course
ago.
You say that now.
Well, yeah.
No. What are you supposed to say? Make the pick and be like, we really didn't like him, but we didn't get any better offers.
Yeah. We were going to not pick him, and then we said, no.
Right.
No,
We're
you're absolutely right.
Desperately trying to get rid of him. Yeah.
So what I like about this is that Cleveland did what Cleveland was supposed to do.
Yes.
And, sometimes like going against the stream or fighting the mold, it's all good. But Cleveland's been breaking the mold for years, almost intentionally, it seems like. And for once, they did what they had to do. They made the best pick possible.
Can I use an analogy here? I'm going to Las Vegas soon, so I'm going to use a gambling analogy here. Okay. The NFL draft is gambling. I mean, this is just, right? It's
Any draft is a gamble.
Right, it's a gamble.
Sure.
It's a gamble. The Cleveland Browns just hit on an 11, and they got a face card. The cards did what they were supposed to do. A year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe they're splitting sixes.
Oh, my God. Can
maybe
I make
they're
the Austin
splitting
Powers
sevens.
reference?
Yes.
In the first movie when he's playing blackjack with
Yes.
number 2, and he's got the eye patch, and he sees the 17, then he can see the 4 inside, and he says, I like to live dangerously, and he hits and gets 21. Austin Powers has 7, and he says, I also like to live dangerously, and then loses because he didn't hit on 7.
Right. They were doing the thing that the drunk guy does at 4 a.m, where you're splitting, you're doubling for less. Have you ever done that? Where you can double for less when you're playing blackjack? It's fun. It's like doubling, but with less money.
By the way, we were talking about the Bears shopping their pick.
Yeah.
They moved to 2. So the Bears have moved to number 2.
What?
So the Niners have released their second pick. I don't know if they've swapped with the Bears. I don't know why you would do that. I mean, I guess to ensure that the team in front of you is not going to take exactly what you want. But it seems, I mean, and your brother was the first to tweet it.
Pat he did. I think he beat Adam Schefter. Patrick Finley, ladies and gentlemen. Hey.
So the Bears have moved to...
But who is there at 2 that wouldn't be there at 3?
Well, I don't know. They must... the Bears must have gone to full-blown parent... this has to be a quarterback, right?
No. You just signed a quarterback for a boatload of money. I don't think this is a quarterback.
What are you doing?
I don't know. That's the
thing. If you're in Chicago, what do you want?
You're moving up to 2 to draft 2, and... Are you so convinced that the 49ers are doing the same thing? 49ers don't really need a quarterback. So who could this be?
I mean, but if you look at
I'm so intrigued.
If you look at the quarterbacks, though, that the Bears have, I mean, they have Sanchez and they have Glennon. I mean, are you gonna tack your mass to this group?
But they say that they love Mike Glennon. They say that I know. What else are you supposed to say? I know.
And you just said everybody's a liar, which they totally are.
I think this is Solomon Thomas. Because he's the only guy that doesn't have a sort of poor man's version 2 picks down. It's not like they're going to move
the
up.
Poor man's version,
Right, but like we said in the last hour, just because he's the second best defensive lineman in the draft
second best player.
doesn't mean he isn't the second best player in the draft. Jamal Adams, you could get at 2, yes, but you get Malik Hooker at 3.
At 3, you can get everybody except for 2 guys,
Right.
And one guy's already gone, and Myles Garrett.
Right.
So the Bears. So if it's Solomon Thomas, they must have thought that the Niners would either take Thomas or engage in a trade to move back. Now, did we see what they're
giving up for him? No,
and that's what I haven't seen yet. Is what they gave up.
Because here's the thing: if they want a running back at 2 or at 3. If they want a running back, they could have had whoever was left, assuming the 49ers drafted McCaffrey or Fournette. And I don't think that that's what they're doing.
So the Niners taking a Stanford kid might not be.
It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, but they're not smart
put some
enough
butts
yet.
in their billion-dollar stadium.
And so now Jay Glazer is reporting on you that it is going to be for Solomon Thomas.
Aha!
So, but that means though, and this is good news, I think, for the Pac-12, is that already off to a great start if you're the Conference of Champions, right?
And it's entirely possible that they traded up to get Solomon Thomas because they were afraid that the 49ers would do sort of
trade with somebody else?
No, or because they were afraid that the 49ers, with no real tradition of with no track record.
They didn't know.
They didn't know what John Lynch was going to do.
Squirrely in front of them.
So I believe San Francisco gets a 3rd and a 4th in this draft
To move up
and a 3rd in next year's
to move
draft.
back one
spot?
Yes.
Oh my God. Yeah, so Finley, your brother, is reporting Bears gave up picks 3, 67, 11, and a 3rd round next year for the 2.
For one spot. Whoa. So basically, they thought that John Lynch was going to take where'd John Lynch go to school? Stanford. So they were so afraid of John Lynch drafting a fellow Stanford guy that they gave up 3 picks to move up one spot.
Including 2 in this year.
Yeah.
I mean, but then here's the thing. Another guy that I follow who covers the Detroit Lions says that is a big haul, and then he's assuming that it's for a quarterback. Because is Solomon Thomas worth that?
No. I mean,
That's what I'm.
but we're trying to think here again. Who would be there at 2 that wouldn't be there at 3 if you're going for a position group?
The only thing I can think of, and to your point, Ryan, all I could think of would be Solomon Thomas himself.
Yeah, I mean that's it.
Because if you're sitting on a quarterback or wanting a quarterback, who wouldn't? And even if you're in love with Trubisky, how is your love for Trubisky that much deeper than it is for Watson,
Nope.
or vice versa,
Nope.
or for Mahomes? Wow. And see,
The Bears pick is in according to Patrick Finley of the Chicago Sun-Times. by the way.
This is why I love the NFL draft. This is why I hate mock drafts. You can take them all and jam them up your ass because they don't matter.
You can say ass. I guest hosted for 5 days and I could have said the word ass.
Hey man, you got to read the rule book, bro. You can't break the rules unless you know the rules. That's something that I've learned a long time ago. But that I don't know what.
Right. This is my favorite. Pat Finley with a tweet that just cracks me up. GM Ryan Pace said he liked 3 guys. He didn't.
It's perfect though.
This has got to be Solomon Thomas. It's got to be. Got to be.
But I mean, if John Lynch has been a general manager when it matters for like 10 seconds, and he's already a genius.
Yes.
With the 2nd pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Mitchell Trubisky, quarterback, North Carolina.
Oh
my goodness.
Oh, I may vomit. That's
See?
What?
What just happened?
You just signed Mike Glennon to a ridiculous contract. You signed Mike Glennon to a ridiculous contract to then draft, I think, the least sure thing of the 3 high-end quarterbacks in this draft. If you're doing it for Deshaun Watson, you can sit there and go, national champion, baby. Look at what he did to Alabama. You could sell Deshaun Watson to Bears fans. Mitchell Trubisky, I hate to say it, you look at him, you look at where he came from, smells a little bit like Jay Cutler to me.
But like, is it like one of those things where, like, if you like you date that version of your parents, like if you think your mom's a little squirrely and then your wife looks a little squirrely too, and you go,
You're like,
this is
wait a
coincidence."
minute, I married my mother. Yeah.
Right? But that's what everybody says, right? That's what you end up doing. And so, in that scenario, here's the thing. You can say, Ryan, whatever you want about the front office and John Lynch in San Francisco being unpredictable, which would add fear to anybody picking directly behind them, which was the Bears. But did anybody really think that the Niners were going to take Trubisky? And if they did, could you not trade for him later?
Or if they took Trubisky at 2,
You take Watson at 3.
Take Watson at 3. I'd rather have Watson anyway. This is where John Lynch, being a rookie general manager and crazy like a fox, just really helped the San Francisco 49ers.
I mean, have they? If I am the pathetic, pitiful ownership group that is the Yorks, I am
shameful.
running into the war room right now with a 5-year extension saying, we'd love to have you for 5 more years after your first contract.
Oh, and by the way, your first round pick is probably going to be Solomon Thomas, who is from the Bay Area and went to John Lynch's college.
I will say, Lance Briggs, his tweet was, question mark, with the quizzical faced emoji.
It's going to be a long night for that brother of mine covering the Chicago Bears in Philadelphia. He did tell me beforehand, though. Did I tell you this? I'm talking to Patrick Finley for the Chicago Sun-Times as I'm pulling up, and I go, so, what's your deadline like tonight? He's like, I'm freaking out. If they draft Malik Hooker, I'm dead. And I go, why? He goes, Malik Hooker's the only guy on their draft board who isn't in Philadelphia.
Well, then, Trubisky's definitely there.
So Trubisky's definitely there, and he'll have like 3 hours now to write a story. This is wow. And Adam Schefter, by the way, not to do this, Adam Schefter was wrong on Solomon Thomas. Was he not?
No doubt. I mean, but here's the thing. This is one of those moves, and not to excuse Shefty at all. Nobody got this one right. Who had this? Who had on their board Trubisky going 2 to the Bears? I mean, and you see these mock drafts when guys try to get fancy and they try to pick the trades and things like that. I mean,
this is a team that has more holes than most.
You talking about the Niners or the Bears?
Bears.
Same.
Yeah, same. Trading multiple picks to draft a guy who will not play for them this year or next. Right? They just signed Mike Glennon.
What's going through your head if you're Mike Glennon right now? Like you're sitting at home going, hey!
They told me I was the guy. Well, it's interesting. The way the Mike Glennon contract is set up, the Bears can bail after this year and I believe owe him something like $18 million. Or they could keep him for 3 years and owe him $48 million.
Oh my God! So there's a divorce window there.
There's a divorce window there, and Mike Glennon, though, he hasn't even participated in any OTAs for them. OTAs for the Bears aren't for another 2 weeks. It's not like they saw him and went, "Oh no, he's terrible," and then drafted a quarterback. This is, and if you're John Fox, not to go this route, John Fox won't be around to see Mitchell Trubisky start. No chance. If he sits the next 2 years, and if the Bears are terrible the next 2 years, John Fox is sitting in the Fox studio. Yeah. Nice pairing of right.
Well done.
Thank you. He's yelling at the Fox football robot about something because his butt has been fired.
By the way, his name is Cletus.
Thank you, Cletus. Cleatus.
I believe.
Oh, jeez. But I mean, John Fox isn't going to be around for this. John Fox can't like this pick.
I don't think anybody likes the pick unless you're Mitchell Trubisky. Who else likes this?
This hurt. My head hurts.
Well, let's do this, Stacy. Let's get a break in here. We'll regroup, and then we'll come back with more of our NFL Draft Special here on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM.
2017 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Solomon Thomas, defensive end, Stanford.
So what just happened right there at 3 is what should have happened at 2. Oh, yeah, I'm not supposed to have my earpiece in. Got that out. Yeah, I'm still kind of like, so if you're Solomon Thomas, you're going like, now look at this. Look at what has happened here in like 17 minutes. John Lynch has become a hero instantly. The Bears look insane. And a local kid, relatively speaking, stays in San Francisco. In like 17 minutes, everything flipped upside down. That was crazy.
How about this? The Chicago Bears were so convinced that John Lynch wasn't going to take the Stanford player that they gave up the 3, 67, 111, and next year's third rounder to move up a spot so John Lynch could then just draft the guy who went to his college and plays down the street.
But,
that is the assumption.
You made a poker reference or a gambling reference earlier.
Blackjack reference.
You did. So I'll make a poker. Well, no, the poker reference is for me watching late night because of Gabe Kaplan. Right. This is I don't know, it's not a bluff like you'd see at a poker table, but John Lynch made the Bears think what John Lynch wanted the Bears to think. And in poker, that's what you do. You either want the player to believe that you have a big hand or nothing, depending on the way that you're angling. And so that was as good a bluff as I have ever seen.
John Lynch is the guy who shows up, puts all of his chips in the middle, everybody folds, and he goes, yeah, I had a pair of 3s.
You had nothing.
And he throws it out there. I mean, he's the guy who doesn't know the rules of poker because he's never played before, and then he wins a couple hands because he's blissfully ignorant of the rules. This is as good a look as a first-year GM has ever had.
Oh, my God.
I mean, I'm following Patrick Finley from the Chicago Sun-Times here on Twitter. I mean, Pat is not one prone to overstatement. He is basically like Bears GM Ryan Pace is going to need to talk fast because he's getting killed here. I mean, he's going to need his explanation. It needs to be
perfect.
It needs to be, we had intel that they were going to take a quarterback. Look at their quarterback depth chart. We knew that they were going to take Trubisky if we did not trade him.
And we're not sold on Glennon. We wanted to make sure we didn't walk into camp or the regular season without a reliable quarterback stable, so we made this move.
Right.
But even if you tell me that, I still say I'm not buying that. Like, even if he said that to you, Ryan, are you saying, oh, okay, I'll take it? Yeah. I accept that answer. I don't accept that answer at all.
I know. Patrick Finley just checked in with me, by the way. John Lynch, here's a fun fact, went back to school a couple of years ago to finish his degree at Stanford, took a class with Thomas, which means he would have taken him at 2.
Likely.
And then
and that's not because of the class, just because he had an intimate familiarity.
Well, it's a familiarity bias.
He was never going to take the quarterback.
He was never going to take the quarterback.
Never going to.
And so you gave him a bunch of picks to draft the guy that he was going to draft at 2 anyway.
And so we're talking about tangible things, but somewhat in an intangible way, it elevates his status instantly.
How about this? 15 minutes ago, we were talking about how smart the Bears were to draft Solomon Thomas at 2. And then we find out what they gave up to move up that spot. They didn't take him. And the team that got all of their draft picks took Solomon Thomas. I'd never thought I'd say this. The San Francisco 49ers are a wonderfully run program
Can we
tonight.
talk about this?
What a franchise.
Well, hey, how about this? In 2 of the first 3 picks, we've seen the Niners and the Browns be very savvy.
Now,
for the Browns, they had to do anything but show up, but they've screwed that up in the past.
And they've played very against type, too. The Browns did not try to get cute. The Browns took the best player, which they don't traditionally do. And the 49ers got cute, and it paid off. Now, if Mitch Trubisky or Mitchell Trubisky, whatever we're supposed to be calling him.
Wait, when did that switch? I thought
that was like a couple weeks ago.
It was Mitch Trubisky, then all of a sudden he became a 45-year-old guy, and now he's Mitchell Trubisky.
Right. He sounds like a dentist.
Yeah. Dr. Trubisky.
Yeah. It's like when Mike Piazza became Mike Piazza. Remember that? But anyway, Mitchell Trubisky could end up being Jim McMahon, right? It could be the great Bears quarterback of all time, for all we know today. But guess what? Odds of Solomon Thomas being a great pro,
pretty good,
infinitely better than the odds of Mitchell Trubisky being a great pro. And you just moved up to take the guy who's the bigger risk.
You gave up equity to take a larger risk.
The name of the game is quantity of high picks.
Or even,
and they just gave up 3 of them. Yeah, it's fair.
With the 4th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Leonard Fournette, running back, LSU.
For those keeping track at home, Zach Clark,
yeah.
in our Arizona Daily Star mock draft, I had picks 1 and 4. I am now 2 for 2.
Hey, that's not bad. I mean, considering the way things have gone, I don't think anybody else landed 2 and 3, maybe in the right. Well, no, not even in the right order or in the right team selection.
Let me tell you why I hate this pick, even though I thought they'd make this pick.
We talked about this.
Shameless. This is shameless. You're taking a running back, a traditional Adrian Peterson every down back running back. The odds of him being just okay or flopping are higher than anybody else on the. I mean, we're ripping Mitchell Trubisky. The odds of a quarterback succeeding are higher than the odds of a running back succeeding. Taken in this thing. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to have to change their entire offense to fit this guy, right? So why did they take him? They had TJ Yeldon's back there. He's 24 years old.
Sure.
Chris Ivory had some issues, but Chris Ivory's back there.
I mean, and he's had some decent seasons. He's a somewhat reliable guy.
Right.
He can be somewhat reliable.
So why did they take Leonard Fournette?
Because he's close to home and they're in the middle of SEC
They're
country.
in SEC country, and the tail wags the dog there. The college football is dictating what a pro team should
Well, yeah,
do.
nobody cares about Jacksonville. We care about the Gators. We care about the Knowles, man. We care about the U. Don't give me the Jaguars.
I know 2 things about the Jacksonville Jaguars. Okay.
They have a cat for a mascot, and their helmets are black.
Their helmets are not black.
Well,
Their helmets are gold fading into black. They have the worst uniforms in all professional sports, and Mark Brunell was really good for them a long time ago.
Now you're talking about.
Thus concludes what I know about.
Wait,
the
are you
Jacksonville
talking
Jaguars.
about? Oh, they have a really good defense. They've bulked up with young guys. Yeah. But I have to ask on a totally unrelated note: worst uniforms currently or all time?
Oh, all time.
Oh no.
Oh, look at the helmets. Just look at the helmets. Look up the helmets. You have a computer. Look up the helmets.
Or you could just come back to 1994 and go to a Pistons game with me.
Oh, NFL. I mean NFL. Teal Pistons. I'll give you teal Pistons.
Thank you.
Teal Pistons.
Because maroon was the real problem.
Oh, it was. And there was a cartoon horse that had exhaust coming out of his backside.
The horse itself still exists. He's the Pistons mascot. His name is Hooper. But yes.
Real quick though, with regards to uniforms. If Grant Hill was healthy and those teams were good, would you look back at those uniforms differently? Or was it just that they represented a time when Grant Hill couldn't get on the floor?
Yeah, I mean, I think the uniforms themselves, if you put them in a vacuum, are terrible, but the association with the play was also terrible, so it was probably a compounding problem.
Right. I have multiple brown Padre hats at home.
Oh, yeah, see?
I find them charming, but this is ridiculous. I mean, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the sad part, Zach, is the Jacksonville Jaguars, from picking in the top 5 for like 10 of the last 12 years, are really close to being pretty good.
Well, the defensive side of things, they have really bulked up with young guys. I mean, we talked earlier about certain franchises picking a side of the ball and sticking to it. Jacksonville, through the draft of the last couple of years, has done exactly that. They've had some not-so-great free agent poachings that haven't really worked out the way that they had wanted to.
And they do those things. They're like the Colorado Rockies in baseball. They pay a premium to get somebody to come play for them, right?
Right.
So you're overpaying Julius Thomas from the Broncos. You're overpaying Paul Posluszny went and played for them, I think. You're overpaying these guys who had moderate success with other programs.
Because you have to, because that's what it takes to get those guys down there.
Right. I mean, to me, the Jacksonville Jaguars could have used Mitchell Trubisky.
They can't have. Don't they have Blake Bortles?
Exactly. Yes. I mean, they could have used a quarterback.
Exactly. Right.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Right. I mean, they could have used a quarterback. Instead, they're drafting at a position where there is no real need, and they're drafting him way high. I mean, they could have traded down to 10 and probably gotten either Leonard Fournette or Christian McCaffrey. And I'm convinced Christian McCaffrey is a better player than Leonard Fournette anyway.
Well, and we talked about this with Michael Lev, who joined us for the first half of the show today, that with Fournette, you get an incredibly talented player that can really only do one thing. Now, he does that one thing really well,
sure.
But with McCaffrey, I mean, absolutely he can run the football. You can put him out in the slot. He's a good catcher. Also, he's a great return man. I think if you look at his success in college, most of it came on the return.
Well, you know why he wore number 5 at Stanford? It was for Reggie Bush. That Reggie Bush was his favorite player growing up.
He is Reggie Bush.
He was better than Reggie Bush.
And he has an opportunity to continue that.
Absolutely. And
Now-
if he finds the right fit, yes.
I will say Reggie Bush probably had a little bit better of a career than we give him credit for having, only because the expectation was so high.
I think he's still playing, believe it or not.
Where
He
did
played for the 49ers for a while.
Yeah.
Lions for a while.
Yeah, but that was when did where did he fall? He slipped in Indy or in New Orleans somewhere and hurt himself, was knocked out for the season, sued, and won.
That's
I
right.
can't remember, but I think that's I don't think.
Buffalo Bills. He is with the Buffalo Bills right now.
Oh, I would have lost money on that one. I didn't
He's
know
with
that.
the Buffalo Bills.
I didn't know that.
He was the guy, by the way. Fun fact about Reggie Bush. Dated Kim Kardashian for a long time.
I do know that,
Then got married to a woman who looks identical to Kim Kardashian.
but not like a non-famous kind. Think about the rest of it. Look at Chris Humphries. Look at Lamar Odom. Look at Kanye.
Kanye is the worst of them all because Kanye was the greatest of all time,
I thought so.
and is now he's just a guy.
At one point in time, I had the utmost respect for Kanye West and the music that he produced. Not anymore. So now that's the thing with this whole process, and I said earlier about the mock drafts, but that's why I love the draft so much, because once one person veers left, everybody's got to follow them.
Yep.
Everything goes crazy.
And you can tell the disciplined franchises from the reckless ones based on what happens when these dominoes start to fall. A good franchise will stick to its plan, which is address the need that it has. Take the player that makes them better today, right?
Yeah.
An inexperienced franchise will look at this, and now maybe some clown will trade up to get somebody, Jamal Adams or somebody. It's really interesting to see which teams get a little froggy when dominoes start falling during the draft.
Because because you spend so much time in your war room preparing your draft plan. I mean, Ryan, it's like you're putting together.
I'm blown away, and this must be. I mean, Ryan Pace, GM of the Chicago Bears, he's in his second year.
Finding an armored car right now. Should be at least.
Young guy.
I bet he feels a lot older today.
Was he so spooked by the 49ers?
Yeah.
that he gave that up?
That's what I'm saying. How are you going to be afraid of something that? And maybe it's because we don't know.
We'll find out, I'm sure.
With the 5th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Corey Davis, wide receiver, Western Michigan.
Another one.
I don't know what's happening.
Didn't they give up like the most yards passing last year in the NFL? I mean, don't they need defensive back help?
Yeah, but if you're trying to pair with what you think is a good quarterback, you got to build around him too.
But he's not a good quarterback.
What? That's not what I said. Now wait, I got to ask very quickly.
That's Reggie Bush's wife, the one who looked.
That's not Kim Kardashian.
That is, exactly.
No.
See what I did?
Oh, Stacy, look at that.
Look at that.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah.
All right.
Smart move, Reggie
Oh my
Bush.
God, that's crazy.
Smart move by Reggie Bush. Do not get involved with the Kardashians.
Okay, so we got one more break to get to. We're going to take it right now, and then we'll go to 6 o'clock radio on ESPN Tucson 1490 and 104.9 FM. I can't even appreciate Throwback Thursday right now. I'm like brain soup.
You can't appreciate Belle Biv DeVoe.
No, you're right. That was wrong of me. It was short-sighted of me. I lost my composure. Thank you, Stacy. No, you're right. You are right. I am wrong.
Okay.
Sorry. We all our emotions get the best of us. I apologize. All right, so we're having a conversation during the break about the Corey Davis selection, and I asked my two friends here to name me the number one receiver for the Tennessee Titans, and I would argue that they don't really have one. They have, they don't have it. And now when you look at Corey Davis, he played on a undefeated, at least for the regular season and conference championship team in Western Michigan in the MAC. But Ryan, how much of that do you? I don't know if I want to say hold against him, but how much of that gives you a little pause?
Oh, a lot of it. I don't know. People who are smarter than me like this pick. I think it's a strange pairing. And again, if you're the Tennessee Titans, you're hoping that this is the highest draft pick you have for a long time. And you know what? They're a young team that's getting better every year. This may be the highest draft pick they have in a long time. Is this guy really your franchise receiver?
Well, and these are just statistics and their history. That doesn't mean anything going into the future. But there have only been 2 MAC receivers taken in the first round ever.
Was Antonio Brown one of them?
He was not.
Wow.
But Randy Moss went to Marshall, and he was.
Oh, I remember him. Yes.
Good
Yes.
player.
Yeah,
In
yes.
fact, I still think the best 30 for 30 ever. Rand University. Amazing.
Yeah.
Now, we were tossing this around. I don't remember if it was before the break, Ryan, or on the air, but now it sounds like Cleveland is trying to obtain Kirk Cousins. What do you have to get?
Well, we talked about this in the last hour. I really liked the idea of the Redskins trading Kirk Cousins. I don't think he wants to play there anymore.
How does that work with the franchise tag? Do they still have to pay you franchise tag money?
Yeah. And, I mean, yeah.
Who the hell wants to pay this guy $32 million?
I know, but here's the thing. He thinks he can get a long-term deal from somebody. And the Cleveland Browns make a lot of sense. Again, the Browns have so much money under the cap. I mean,
that's true.
They are paying Brock Osweiler a bunch of money to presumably not play for them. Right?
Yeah, they're paying him to go away.
Right. So what would it take to get Kirk Cousins? I mean, what if it only took what if it took a 4?
That's it? Oh, right now.
I mean, here's the thing. What would Jimmy Garoppolo take? I mean, they're saying a 2 or 3?
But what I keep hearing about Garoppolo, and it's not like I have my ear on the ground and I can hear the train coming from miles away, but he's not going anywhere, at least not in this season. And the thing with Kirk Cousins, I am convinced, to your point here, Ryan, that Washington is not interested in a long-term deal.
Right.
Because here's what's going to happen. Next year, the Redskins would have 2 choices. They could either pay him in a long-term contract, or they could franchise tag him again.
Right.
At what point they'd be paying him about $40 million.
And
not going to happen.
And at what point do you want? I mean, do you want the guy who is the highest-paid player in the history of your franchise hating you? Like at some point, cut your losses. Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback now, but you know what? Sure. You found him on the scrap heap. You turned him into a good player. Trade him while there is still value. I mean, I am all for this if they can make this happen. It works.
Yes. No, yeah, I think, and look, I'd rather, to your point, Ryan, I'd rather give up the 12 for Garoppolo than draft a kid.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Give me the kid that's been studying under Tom Brady for all those years.
Well, how about this? If you're the Bears, you just drafted Mitchell Trubisky when you could have gotten Jimmy Garoppolo, a Chicago native, with the 2.
With the 6th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jamal Adams, defensive back, LSU.
So that's like the first normal pick we've had.
Yeah.
I think. That Jamal Adams at, what is that, 6? That's how terrible they are.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? If you look at their last couple of drafts, they've done a really good job of, I think, getting value considering where they picked.
Well, and Ken Summers points out that Todd Bowles has done pretty well with LSU defensive backs and Patrick Peterson and Tyrann Mathieu. Whatever that's worth.
And again, we talked about Leonard Williams. I mean, I think they took him at 6 a couple years ago.
Yeah.
This is a really good value. You got a guy, you got him by picking 6th. At some point, this is what good franchises do.
Not
No. You're right.
told
You're
them
absolutely.
Sanchez.
But what the Patriots are always going to be the class of that league.
At least-
It's wide open underneath them. Though,
Well, that's
man.
right, and that doesn't mean that you still can't compete for playoff spots.
Right. Here's
And look at Miami.
Here's the shameful part. So we've got how long left? About 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Look who's on the clock.
Who is
Your
on the-
L.A. Chargers.
Your Los Angeles Chargers will pick right at 6 o'clock.
All right, so
Which means if we time this correctly, I can swear as soon as we go off air, it'll be
and
great.
we'll make sure we time that
Yeah.
correctly, no matter what happens. so your guys, former guys, are on the board.
Not my guys anymore.
I
Which
said
means
fine, right.
which means they will make a pick here that I will love.
So they're on the clock.
Right.
Jonathan Allen is available. Malik Hooker
It's
is
going to be
still
Malik Hooker. Is
available.
my guess. The Chargers need help at safety. The Chargers' best returning safety is Jaleel Adai, who's Jamal Adai's
Adai's.
brother. Really good guy, sort of a diamond in the rough player. They need help in the defensive backfield. They addressed their defensive line last year. Joey Bosa was incredible once he got on the field. Their linebacking core is very good. To me, even though they have
When did
brought
you
in
start
they
thinking
brought in an
quarterback?
offensive coach and Anthony Lynn. I think they go defense here, and I think it's Malik Hooker.
When do they start thinking quarterback? Because we keep having these conversations about.
Third round this year.
No, but
I
I'm
think.
talking about like seriously thinking about it. Like we're talking about the Cardinals and having to make.
It would be interesting to me.
Philip Rivers isn't young anymore.
Could they draft a Watson here
Sure.
and then deal Philip Rivers to like the Redskins?
Do you think Philip Rivers wants to be traded?
No.
Wha-
Philip Rivers didn't want to move from San Diego to L.A.,
I know.
which is why I love him.
But do you think
Love
that'll make
it.
him want to be traded?
No, I think that's the only chip he can hold, though, is he could say, you better trade me to the right place or else I won't show up.
Well, let me ask you this: what kind of teacher do you think he would be? What
Great-
kind of
great
groomer?
one. Great one. Great
So, I
one.
mean, can you do that?
Yeah, you could. I mean, I think it would require bringing in the right kind of guy to learn underneath. To learn
Deshaun
under
Watson
him.
seems to be pretty.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I say this like I know him. I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder about that. I like the idea
Mm-hmm.
of not necessarily Jimmy Garoppolo, but that Aaron Rodgers under
Yeah.
Brett Favre type thing.
Well, and Philip Rivers, people forget. Philip Rivers learned under Drew Brees. I mean, they were both on the same team, on the team at the same time.
Yeah, well, and what people really forget is that the fates of Eli Manning and
Philip Rivers.
were flipped
Yep.
by Archie.
By Archie, who wanted his son in New York so he could make more money on endorsements.
Archie Manning sucks. Let me just throw that out there. I thought that was one of the low points in the NFL draft in my lifetime.
I'll tell you what, though. If I have 3 boys, if one of my 3 boys is okay and the other 2 are just nah, you've done okay as a father, I think.
What do you mean? Two of them won the Super Bowl.
Not an Eli guy. Don't like Eli.
But I'm just saying two
Yeah, he won a Super Bowl. That's true.
times.
And nobody talks about Cooper. It's sad. Poor Cooper.
But Cooper did he have an injury? Was it a disease? Something happened to
Something.
him.
I think it was like a degenerative back
Something
thing. or a
happened to
neck
him
thing.
along
Yeah.
the way because there was talks that he could have been as good, though you say that now, and your brothers have won 4 Super Bowls.
Speaking of brothers, by the way, I have a nephew named Cooper, and when I was told that his name was Cooper, my response was, "Oh, like the bad Manning brother."
It's like being the third tenor that nobody knows your name, or the fifth Fab Five member.
I tried to shove those words back in my mouth with my hands after I said them.
Oh, but you
because
can't.
that's not what somebody wants to hear when they tell you're. their
Well,
baby
but I
name.
mean, they must not have minded it that much. They still named him Cooper.
well, yeah, they had already named him Cooper.
Maybe
is
they
the
like
thing.
tires.
I think they like Mr. Cooper, or am I dating myself?
No.
Okay, we're hanging with him.
Cooper. I
Okay,
remember
good.
that. Now the question was, who played Mr. Cooper? Now about a high school teacher.
Yes.
Welcome back, Cotter.
Welcome back, Otter.
He was a high school teacher in
Yeah, in San Francisco in the show in Oakland, and Welcome Back, Cotter. He was in New York with the Sweat Hogs.
I still have no idea about the Welcome Back Cotter thing. I just knew it existed and that Gabe Kaplan was in it. Hanging with Mr. Cooper, I'm 100% down with that.
show. Raven
yes.
Was Raven Simone in
She's
that?
in the Cosbys.
No. Was she also in Mr. Cooper after that?
I thought you went to the Disney Channel where she was on all this other.
Holly Robinson Pete was in it. She played the love interest. Hanging with Mr.
I
Cooper.
totally forgot about that.
Yes.
And bring it back full circle. Her husband, NFL draft.
You like how I'm looking for anything to talk about other than the
Yeah.
stupid Chargers
They're-
moving away and
Well,
making me sad?
No. Let's not assume that that's what it was. Because here's what I listened to a point while y'all were doing this, and I remember you saying at one point maybe we will talk about sports
at some point.
eventually.
I think we were talking about your waxing schedule at the time.
I don't wax. I'll take this minute to clear up a couple things as we're here at the end of the show. I don't wax. Look at me. Look at all the hair that I have. I don't do that. 2, I'll never spray tan again.
Okay.
I still am turning orange on my feet. Don't like it. And manicures and pedicures are the best. If you've never had one, you're missing out. That's it.
Is the commissioner going to get booed for announcing the Los Angeles Chargers?
He's going to get booed because he took a left step and then a right step and then a left step and then a step.
Can I tell you, you know where the Chargers draft headquarters is?
Oh, it's so the War Room is in San Diego.
Yes.
The draft party is somewhere in like downtown Los Angeles, and the press conference is in Carson.
Yes.
I read all that. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I eagerly await finding a new team.
Oh, is it happening now?
With the 7th pick in the 2017 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Chargers select Mike Williams, wide receiver, Clemson.
You feel better?
Those are the Chargers I remember.
Now Finley all of a sudden think, maybe I can be an LA Charger.
No. Reaching on a wide receiver early in the draft. The old me, Zach, as we wrap up, the old me would be worried about this for months. The new me says, best of luck to you, Mike Williams.
Well, see, I'm a Lions fan, and they've drafted a guy named Mike Williams, and it turned out so poorly.
USC's Mike Williams.
Carlos Rogers.
Oh,
but
yeah.
eventually, if it lands you Megatron, sold. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us, and really thank you for filling in over the last week.
I had a blast. It was great.
Thank you. And thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, listeners. Back tomorrow at 3 o'clock on ESPN Tucson, 1490, 104.9 FM.